Parents, let's be real for a second. Choosing the right sports performance coach for your athlete is one of the most important decisions you can ever make. Because here's the truth. It's not just about who runs the fastest drills or who has the nicest facility. This is about who's shaping your child's mindset, their confidence, and their future. In Forsyth County, sports are not just another hobby. It's a culture. We live in a community where families invest big in travel ball, high school feeder programs, and extra training. And I respect that. But I've also seen how one bad coaching experience can set an athlete back, while the right one can completely change their path. So today, I want to talk to you through 5 things every parent should look for when choosing a sports performance coach. These aren't guesses, these aren't opinions, these are the exact things that separate real development from wasted time and money. Now, before I get into these 5 things, let me just zoom out for a second. So I want you to understand the bigger picture. I want you to understand the bigger picture of sports performance in our county here in Forsyth. See, Forsyth has some of the best athletes, some of the best programs, and the most dedicated parents around America. But with that also comes the pressure to be on the best team, the pressure to get the scholarship, the pressure to constantly keep up. And in the middle of all that pressure is your athlete. They're trying to figure out who they are, how to perform, and how to grow. That's why the coach you choose matters more than ever. The right coach doesn't just train the body. The right coach sets the tone for the entire athlete experience. And that's what I call culture. All right, parents, athletes, let's get into this. Now, here are 5 non-negotiables that I believe every parent should be looking for. In Forsyth County, sports are a part of identity. A real coach builds culture, not just workouts. I've seen athletes thrive when the environment pushes them to work, but also when the support is coming from your teammates. Having the ability to celebrate the effort when these athletes are given 100% and not focused on the stats, they're able to fit the culture. So I want you to ask yourself, does this coach bring your athlete into a culture that makes them better as a person, not just a player? Does this coach make my son or daughter better for life? Now, parents, you have to prioritize safety and longevity. Speed and strength mean nothing if your athlete breaks down and burns out. I know from my personal NFL experience, our bodies will not last forever and we must take care of. So pro athletes, we don't just train hard, we train smart to stay in the game longer. Ask coaches how they prevent injuries. Now, as a coach, there is no way to prevent an injury. However, you can reduce the likelihood of the injury. Ask how these coaches are going to push my young athlete for performance. And if these coaches don't have an answer, it's a red flag, parents. Now, parents, you want to understand that you need to check for mentorship because good coaches are going to work to shape the mind. So look for mentorship and not just training. A true coach develops character. Let me tell you about an athlete that I work with. Quiet, hardworking. He was not the most vocal leader. Over time, through mindset talks, confidence drills, and daily encouragement, that kid became the heartbeat of his team. He became a leader. And that's what you call mentorship. See, parents, ask yourself, does this coach talk about focus, resilience, and mindset? Or is it just squats and sprints? Parents, I want you to understand something. At Creative Dynamic Sports, we have something called a mental performance program. Now, you're listening to first team mentality, but at CDS, we also have what we call the first team mental performance program. This program is all about charting and paying attention to focus, effort, discipline, helping your athlete be able to self-recognize and become self-aware of how they feel, and to also be able to self-regulate when things aren't going their way. They have a solution and how they can get back on track. And that is what mental performance is about. Most of these kids will probably suffer from something called performance anxiety, meaning they practice really good, but when the game comes up, they get a little jittery, they get a little nervous, and nothing seems to go their way. So mentorship is very important when it comes from your sports performance coach. Now, parents, you got to demand that the attention spent on your child is directed to a custom strategy for your kid. Cookie cutter programs are not the way. Are they effective? Yes, they can be effective, but that's going to be for athletes that probably haven't been through much sports training. Most athletes that are advanced and ready to take their journey to the next level are going to need a custom strategy, especially when it involves specifics. Parents, I want you to understand that no two athletes are the same. Cookie cutter programs will not cut it. Your athlete deserves a plan that is tailored to their sport and that is specific to the things that your athlete needs to work on. So you have to demand that customized attention, parents, from your sports performance coach. Now, the last thing you want to focus on is a sports performance coach needs to be able to show you or explain to you how they're going to measure and track the growth. Now, a lot of kids in Forsyth County are already super busy, and a lot of these kids are able to get in maybe 1 to 2 times a week, sparingly missing classes, but that's okay. But we are able to still test these kids, even though they're not training 3 and 4 times a week. There are measurables, and that's what we explain to our kids. Guys, why are we doing this same drill again, even though we practiced this 2 weeks ago? And the reason is because most kids need the repetitiveness to actually feel within their structure when they're actually getting better. There's one thing for a coach like me to say, hey, you're doing a great job, such a better job this time than last time. Then the kid's like, okay, thanks, coach, I appreciate it. But do they actually feel that they're getting better? They can't tell. So we don't want to switch up these exercises every single workout just because we're trying to make some type of fancy video or some type of fancy showing. You got to set up a system where the kid can feel, where the athlete can feel themselves getting better. And parents, you have to understand that. So let's talk specifically about Forsyth. This county is competitive, parents, and we know that. Parents are spending on training, travel, nutrition, gear, you name it. Parents in Forsyth County are spending money on it. But what separates the family who see results from those who don't see results? It's not the money. It's not the money. It's whether their athlete is in the right environment. The right coaches understand culture. You cannot buy culture. Culture comes from your coach. The wrong coach can burn an athlete out by 16. The right coach can set them up for college and life success. So parents, it's important to take this serious and have conversation and ask questions. And this is why I say culture matters more than the drills. And that's the mission at Creative Dynamic Sports. See, we're not just building speed and strength programs, functional programs. We're building belief. We're building resiliency. We're building leaders. We're setting the tone for the future of Forsyth County sports. So parents, make sure you pay attention when you're looking for a sports performance coach, and make sure you find one that can do the job, that stacks up to everything that you know is going to help your athlete get results. Now, when it all comes down to it, you're looking for somebody to reach out to Creative Dynamic Sports, because we are your #1 top option for sports performance training. Let's work.